So it is 7 p.m. We'll go ahead and call this Town of Adams Board of Selectmen meeting on Wednesday, November 18th, 2020 to order. Pursuant to, my apologies, I need to start recording, sorry. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the Governor's March 15th and July 2nd orders imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Town of Adams Board of Selectmen is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public has been permitted, but every effort has been made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. Attending this evening are three members of the Board of Selectmen. We are attending in person. It is myself, Chairman Christine Hoyt. I have member John Duval and member Joe Novak in person. If member Rick Blanchard is to call in, we will need to take roll call votes for all of our motions this evening. However, if he does not call in, we will all be able to vote in person. We've posted today's agenda in accordance with open meeting law, which included the call-in information for today's meeting. Despite our best efforts, if we're not able to provide for real-time access for the public to participate in today's meeting, a recording of this meeting can be made available upon request, as we are recording this via Zoom, and our friends from Northern Berkshire Community Television are also helping us with the recording. And I'm going to ask those of you who are on the call if you can mute yourselves until it is time to speak. That would be helpful.
A little more.
So there is somebody on the call with the last four digits, 1469. If you could tell me who you are, and I'm also going to ask you to mute your phone.
What?
Mr. Summer, is that you?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to mute your phone if you can.
Okay, I'll go in the other room.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, with all of that housekeeping, I'm going to ask my fellow board members to please let me know if there's anybody who shows up that I need to let into the virtual room. Otherwise, you can see who is on the call with us. And with that, I'm going to ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item of business on the agenda is the approval of minutes for the November 4th, 2020 meeting. All members of the board are able to vote on them. What is the board's pleasure?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of November 4th, 2020, and to waive the reading of the minutes.
I have a motion by member Duval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by member Novak. Any discussion?
I do. In the minutes and what was discussed at the last meeting, Member Nowak asked the licensing subcommittee to meet to discuss the option of waiving the fee for establishments that are still closed and to contact the state about their fees. And it was the result of that was to discuss this part of an agenda item at this meeting. And I didn't see that as an agenda item.
The licensing subcommittee was unable to meet due to my schedule last week and this week. So I hope that the licensing committee can meet. I do have a report as part of the subcommittee reports. I believe Deb put that paperwork at each of your seats, just a breakdown of all of the costs associated with the licenses in advance of today's meeting. But I apologize.
Is there a plan for the licensing subcommittee to meet over the next few weeks, so the next meeting we would have that on the agenda?
We certainly can.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Anything else on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is unanimous. That brings us to public comment. Is there anybody who is on the call who wishes to speak to the board about an item that is not on the agenda?
do I come in under public comments or wait until you discuss the fees?
Mr. Summer, it is not on the agenda, so if you wanted to discuss it now under public comment, you certainly can. I do have a report to the board under the committees, which is a little later in the agenda, but nothing to be voted on.
So I should wait till the committee makes their report, but nothing's going to be voted on? Is that an understanding?
That is correct.
Well, then I guess I'd like to make some comments now then.
Certainly.
I'm representing the American Legion in reference to the licensing fee. As you all know, the Legion paid a fee to be able to serve alcoholic beverages, and then the town and the state needed to stop us. Naturally, we agreed, but now we never thought it would be this long. We couldn't serve food. I was suggested at your last meeting. One of the board members said, well, we could have served food. No, we couldn't. In fact, we discussed having food cooked off-site and brought to the Legion, but as you know, all food has to be cooked on-site. We realize there are 2 or 3 other establishments similar to the Legion, but we think it only fair and equitable that the town reimburses for the fee or issue the 2021 with no fee. We paid our fee. We were not able to exercise that, so I think it'd be a very simple thing that you waive the fee for next year. Also, at your last meeting, someone raised a thing about the loss of $3,000 or $4,000 because it affects not only the Legion but 2 or 3 other establishments in town. You wondered where you'd get the money from. It's obvious. You can just go to the Finance Committee. The town always has a reserve account that can be used for the unexpected costs. Other towns in Berkshire County have already stepped up. Dalton did it a week ago. I understand today the North Adams City Council voted to assess something like $100 for the fee to help the business. The American Legion has always been a firm contributor to the town of Adams, and not only the Legion, but the other 3 or 4 businesses that are here. We're struggling very hard, and it makes sense to me that you either reimburse us for the fee last year that we paid, or next year you waive the fee for us. Okay, thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Hey, Madam
Sure.
Chair, hey, Don, this is John Duval. So the goal is to have this on the agenda for the next board meeting. If you could hear.
I think he
Hung up?
hung up.
Okay.
I think, however, it's just, can I comment on that? I just think it's important that the public understand the board already did vote to reduce to, at least to a certain extent. Just make that clear for the record.
Yeah, the licensing committee wanted to make sure it was fair and equitable across the board with all of the Section 12 license holders, and put forward a recommendation of a 25% reduction in order to do that, to be fair and equitable. And what we can go through later is to remain fair and equitable, and to maybe honor something that Mr. Summer just suggested, which was waiving all of the fees. It would be a significant, I think it's about $20,000 that we would see.
Correct, and the board did indicate that the licensing subcommittee would be, and it would be on the agenda this evening.
Yep.
And no problem that it isn't. Next meeting's fine, but board says we're going to do something, we need to follow through, and that's just the reason I brought it up.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else for public comment? If not, it is 7:10 p.m., and we do have a public hearing in front of us. It is a public hearing for the transfer of an all-alcohol license application for the Red Carpet Restaurant, Inc., operating at 69 Park Street in Adams, and to transfer that application to KEE Food Group, LLC, doing business as Savory Store at the same location, 69 Park Street. I do need a motion by the board to go into a public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion by Member Duval. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Member Novak. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we are currently in public hearing. On the call with us is Attorney Jeff Grandchamp. Attorney Grandchamp did review this application. As the board is aware, at our last meeting, we did appoint Attorney Grandchamp to help us as a special counsel. I forget the exact title.
Special Town Council.
Special Town Council, to help us with matters in which Town Council Attorney St. John had a conflict of interest, which this was one of them. So Attorney Grandchamp did review the paperwork that is in front of all of you. There needed to be 2 sections of the application modified before today's hearing, so that, and the Groners are here, and I will introduce them in a moment, but they did provide that paperwork. So Attorney Grandchamp, I do have in front of me the corrected paperwork with Section 5 indicating that the entity name is Red Carpet Incorporated instead of the individuals who were named in the paperwork that the board has in front of them. And then the financial disclosure does match up with the numbers that needed to be presented.
Can you confirm that the name of the transferor is the Red Carpet Restaurant, Inc.?
It says
Red Carpet.
It says Red Carpet Incorporated, so it needs to add restaurant?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Did they correct the names, the titles of Mr. Haddad and Ms. Bartlett?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So we do have that as well. Yep. So with that, I would like to introduce the Groners who are here with us this evening. I know, Ed Groner, I think you're going to probably do the introductions of the rest of your team. If you want to come up to the microphone, sure.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My name is Ed Groner. I'm here with my wife Emily, who's also my business partner, and my daughter Corey Thompson, who is also our production manager, which means she makes jam. I was asked by Jay to take the opportunity, and I'll try to make it real brief. In the little packages I have, there is a handout with the topics I'm discussing. Because I'm doing it real fast, you can use that to refer back to for details. We are the key food group. The Hind Ledge Farm, which was the company name that we were doing business as a sole proprietor, made the jam and sold it since 2017. And the second slide gives a little history of the company and how we progressed to this point. So we have been doing this for 3 years. The third slide is just a picture of some of our products that we market under that brand name now. So the company name has transitioned to a brand name that manufactures these products. The fourth slide in the package is a little more elaboration of what we do. So we sell wholesale products under a license from the state of Massachusetts, but it's what's called a cottage license. So most people aren't aware of this. A cottage license is a license that allows me to make this jam and sell it wholesale within the state of Massachusetts only, because the FDA does not recognize the licensing for an outside the state license. So I could, yeah.
You're good.
Sorry.
That's for those that...
I'm not used to doing public speaking with the bandana on, so.
You're doing great, Ed. Sorry.
On the fourth slide, you'll see that what we did early this year, when the health thing came, we had some extra time and everything, so we started looking for an opportunity to have a commercial license that would allow us to sell outside the state. There's been a significant amount of interest in our products at places outside the state, and so we were looking for a facility to do that. We looked at building on site and other buildings. So if you look at the slide, you can see why we decided not to build on site in Savoy. We have 3.5 miles of dirt road. The reason I'm here in person is because I could not attend by Zoom because we use satellite telephones up there. It's just not the right kind of market. My wife, Emily, was looking around and she spotted the restaurant across the street. And it was ideal for what we need. An excellent kitchen, excellent location, a nice town, close to our home. So we decided to pursue that. Right now, just for information, we're in the very final stages. It could be a week or two now, hopefully. Just a little bit more about the business as it's going to be now in the new facility. With the new facility, our wholesale business, once we get licensed by the state and that facility will expand to outside the state. We'll be selling nationally. We also have a retail online business that we enjoy. That business has grown this year, of course, with health conditions, naturally has grown. We have a third business, which is our largest business, was our largest business, where we travel and sell retail at shows and such. For instance, in 2019, we did 35 shows. But now with this new facility, we have the opportunity to have a storefront. This is our fourth line of business. So what we intend to do with the storefront, and there's 4 slides in here talking about each one of those, but I'm going to focus on the last one in the interest of time. So we want to have a storefront that's bright and open and airy and clean, so people can come in, free Wi-Fi, electronic menus, nice music, but has products from all local food producers that you can try. We'll have events where those local food producers will bring their products, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 at a time, where we have people come and try those samples, so those individual producers can market their products. And we'll be making limited breakfast and lunch initially out of those products as well to serve to the general public as meals for breakfast and lunch. With the dinners, we'll be having local beers, ciders, and wines, and of course alcohol occasionally. We will be, if any of you are familiar with the inside of the store now, the place now, we're taking the bar out. We will not have a bar. We'll only be serving drinks with food. We just are not into the bar atmosphere. That'll be our wholesale storage area. We've all gotten tip certified. Anyone who works for us in that store will be tip certified, and all the managers will be crowd manager certified. Have I missed any important stuff? Good? Okay,
Okay,
that's pretty much it. Thank you.
all right, thank you. Any questions with regard to the license? Or any questions for the Groners?
Yeah,
Sure.
I have a few questions. Now, Key, Key Group, they're like, mostly they do with type of things like seasonings and the like, and the savory place that's already a coined name, isn't it? The savory place. I know Atkins Farm in South Amherst, they use savory place as a place where meals are brought in. They have like a selection of meals, like 14 different types monthly. Is this going to be something based off of that? Similar
So
to
it's
it?
not intended to be. I
Okay.
was not aware of that. I did
Yeah.
research before we picked the name. I'll check that name.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I do know that savory itself
Yeah.
is a brand of spices,
Right.
but this is not intended to.
No, I'm not saying there's any copyright infringement or anything, but I always take a look at, the corporations and, before I go through the license. And I know one thing, I'm quite familiar with Savoy. I worked up there for many years, and you're in a nice area, though. Pretty
Yes.
secluded, no doubt about it. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. And I'm certainly happy to see this coming together. I like your ideas very much about using local foods. I think it's something that fits the decor of a small community like this, to help bring people together and to help those who are doing things, small businesses. And I just wish you luck, and I'll tell you how I feel about that jam I have some.
Please do.
All right, yeah.
Thank
You're the
you.
jam maker? All right.
Anything, John?
Yeah, this is very exciting news for the community, and I always think about what type of business would be successful in our downtown, because we have a beautiful downtown in Adams, and businesses come and go, and some are doing well, but what is it, you need to have a different type of niche, to, in my opinion, survive in a downtown nowadays, and I think you got a great business plan. Which really got my attention this evening, is that local brewers and ciders will be served at the business. Is there any draft beer? You would consider that? Or start with bottled beer?
So
Or?
that's a good question. That was a consideration. Draft beer has a large overhead that I'm not really comfortable with starting out with. So not initially, no.
Okay.
Unfortunately, most of the good home beers, that's all they have. They don't do bottling. So you don't know, my son, when he got out of the Virginia State Police and opened a brewery, so I know a little bit about that. And most breweries start with kegs and stuff and graduate to bottles. So I'll have to choose the ones that have already graduated for now.
But either way, I think it's a good idea to have that with the generation like my sons all graduated college, and they're just big into the brewery type atmosphere. But bottles are fine too. Doesn't matter. So I think that's going to be a good draw for you. But I want to wish all of you, the whole family, the best of luck in the community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm excited to have you open as well. I was introduced to your product because it's carried here at the Adams Hometown Market. So I've been enjoying the straw jalapeno jam. It seems to be a favorite in my household, so that's an excellent one.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
We have a new one we call Glassberry now, if you like it spicy.
I do like.
With ghost peppers.
Ooh, okay. I'm looking forward to that. I will open it up to anybody on the call or anybody in the room if they have any comments or questions with regard to the alcohol license application that is in front of the Board of Selectmen before we close the public hearing on this. I'd like to give it an extra minute, sorry. Okay. Hearing none. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is unanimous. So the item in front of us this evening is to approve the transfer of an all-alcohol license application from Red Carpet Restaurant, Inc. to the Key Food Group LLC, doing business as Savory Store, to be located at 69 Park Street here in Adams.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion. Once again, all the paperwork is in order.
Attorney Grandchamp?
Everything in order, Attorney Grandchamp?
It should be now with the corrections that Chairwoman Hoyt was able to get for tonight's meeting.
Okay, they've been documented?
Yep, I have them here.
All right, then I'm going to put forth a motion to the transfer of an all-alcoholic license to the applicant from the Red Carpet Restaurant Incorporated, located on 69 Park Street, Adams, an all-alcoholic on-premise license to KEE Food Group, or Key, however it's said, LLC, doing business as Savory Store, which will be located on 69 Park Street in the town of Adams.
I have a motion by member Novak. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by member Duval. Any further discussion?
I just got one question, Ed. It's not anything to do with this license, but you're going to be selling to, which you already do, selling to local markets, your products, and you're also now eventually going to get a license, hopefully, to sell out of state. So how are you, distribution, logistics, how are you going to distribute? Are you going to use like just the UPS, a business like that to deliver the products? Or, because with Park Street, I'm just curious about if you had a truck or what's going to happen there.
So that depends. Within 50 miles, we usually distribute ourselves. We are looking at contracting with entities that do distribution.
Okay.
And that's still in negotiation.
Okay.
One of the companies like Marty's, I think you might be familiar with them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That is unanimous. Well, welcome to Park Street.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Grandchamp. We won't be... We
Good night,
won't,
everybody. Thank you.
thank you.
Good night.
Good night. I am going to ask the Board of Selectmen if we could move, I know that we have another public hearing, but I hear some young children in the hallway, and I'm wondering if we can move items under new business A and B ahead of the public hearing.
Agreed.
Joe, would you be okay with moving new business A and B just above the public shade tree hearing?
I will do that because there are children here, but in the future, I think that people that may want to speak on it are thinking that they're going to be doing that now.
I did ask, and we just couldn't start before 7:20
Okay.
PM, but we can start after 7:20 PM.
Okay, very
So
good.
I do apologize to those who are on the call, but I do hear some small children in the hallway. I'd like to take item B first, if we can, under new business. Item B would be the ratification of sergeant to the Adams Police Department for Gregory Honorato. So I believe that Chief Bacon is in the hallway getting Officer Honorato and his family. Right, Officer Honorato first? Is that what you told me? Okay. And again, thank you very much to the board for moving these items.
You should have both letters, madam.
Yes, I do have, I have both letters. Chief Bacon, did you want me to read this? Normally I would read the letter first from the town administrator and then turn things over to you. Is that okay if we do that?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. The letter here from the town administrator. Dear Chairman Hoyt, this letter is to advise the Board of Selectmen that subject to the board's ratification as provided in Section 10 of the town charter, Officer Gregory Honorato has been promoted to the position of sergeant for the Adams Police Department. The two officers being placed before the board this evening for ratification are the first officers to undergo the promotional process now governed by the labor agreement between the town of Adams and the Massachusetts Coalition of Police / Local 367. This process was previously governed by civil service rules. Specifically, Article 33 provides for a 2-day process consisting of a written examination, panel assessment interview conducted by an outside professional testing organization, and followed by the chief's interview. As a result of the process, Chief Bacon has recommended Officer Honorato for promotion, and I am pleased to endorse and forward that recommendation to the board for ratification. Officer Honorato has been a police officer since 2006 and joined our department in 2014. He has demonstrated his commitment to our community by participating in organizing several community-based outreach activities and possesses a balance of good humor, approachability, and will be a valuable supervisory and managerial resource to his fellow officers and our community. Upon ratification, Sergeant Honorato will begin his new duties at the discretion of the Chief of Police. Sergeant Honorato will earn $30.66 per hour at the Step 7 Sergeant rate in accordance with the current governing agreement. Respectfully submitted, J.R. Green, Town Administrator. Chief Bacon, I'll turn things to you.
Wow, I don't know if I can follow that very descriptive and thorough letter. I think half the stuff I was going to say is in that. But no, the process was very thorough. The announcement for the promotion process started in July, and then the testing began in October. And we had very, very qualified applicants who put in, and I'm very proud of the two that rose to the top that I'm able to come today and say with confidence that they're going to do an excellent job for the department. And behind me is Officer, soon-to-be Sergeant Greg Honorato. Like Administrator Green said, you know, Greg's going to do a great job for the department. He's very dedicated. He's a very dedicated officer. He's very integrated into the workings of the department. Very concerned with social functions and community engagement, and very well respected amongst his peers. So, taking into consideration all of that and the promotion process itself, which, like I said, was a very thorough and professional one, I have the utmost confidence that Greg can do a great job. And I would respectfully ask that you ratify his appointment today to the rank of sergeant.
Excellent. And he does pretty well with cone flipping and cartwheels. I've seen video. So, what is the board's pleasure?
I'll put forth a motion to ratify the appointment of Gregory Honorato to be ratified as sergeant for the Adams Police Department.
I have a motion by Member Novak.
I'll second.
Second by Member Duval. Any comments or questions?
I have one question and then a quick comment.
Sure.
Did you come in, Greg, under civil service?
I did, yes.
Okay. So the testing, was that coordinated with civil service, or is it, no, it isn't not now because we changed our,
Just a little description of kind of how the whole process worked was.
yes, I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, so we contracted with a company to run the process. The first part of the process was an examination, a written test, which was 40% of the total score. Then there was an assessment. What I mean by that is, it's best way to describe it as role-playing, where there are actors that will present a situation to you, and you as the applicant have to work through that. And there's a series of tests that they ran through, and that is also 40%. And then the chief's interview is 20% to equal 100%. And then the top 3 applicants who put in for that position are eligible for the promotion to sergeant.
Okay, is that a standard way they're doing that now, or is that individual communities the way that they foresee the future of?
It's really up to individual communities,
Okay.
but it's in the bargaining agreement that was the process that needed to be followed.
Okay.
I would say that, I can say with confidence that an assessment process will give you the best candidates, just because of the very nature of how it's ran.
Yeah.
Some communities just do a quick test, an interview, and that's it. Kudos to the town of Adams for doing this process, because like I said, I feel confident that the candidates that come before you today, they deserve to be here.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I know you, I don't know you all that well, but I certainly been around and seen what you've done for the community. I know in the past you've been very good around the children, helping them out at the school, and had cookouts, and you know, you've been there when we needed you, and you got a beautiful family. I know one of them, standing right out there, and I just wish you the best of luck, and just continue the good work, and dedication is what we really need in this community, is a lot of dedication, because as you know, as being a police officer, we're in changing times. The town of Adams, I feel anyways, isn't the town of Adams that I grew up as. We're getting more diverse ethnically, and so there's a lot more parameters. Our population is transient, so it's hard to get to know the people of the community as it was when I was a younger man. But in short, best of luck and Godspeed.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Any other questions or comments?
Just congratulations and thank you for your service to our community.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. Congratulations, thank you. And I'm happy to see that your entire family is here, to be here for this moment.
Yeah, I'm here.
So if there's not any further question, or do you have anything else, Chief?
No, I was just going to explain that we're going to do the oath and pinning outside, but next we're going to bring in Officer Dylan Hicks.
Great. Well, first, there is a matter before us. We have a motion and a second. There is no further discussion. So the important part is, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? That is unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye now. Take care.
Okay. All right. While the rest are coming in, I will go ahead and read the letter that is before us, sent to us by the town administrator. Dear Chairman Hoyt, this letter is to advise the Board of Selectmen that subject to the board's ratification as provided in Section 10 of the town charter, Dylan Hicks has been promoted to the position of sergeant for the Adams Police Department. The two officers being placed before the board this evening for ratification are the first officers to undergo the promotional process now governed by the labor agreement between the town of Adams and the Massachusetts Coalition of Police Local 367. This process was previously governed by civil service rules. Specifically, Article 33 provides for a 2-day process consisting of a written examination, panel assessment interview conducted by an outside professional testing organization, and followed by the chief's interview. As a result of the process, Chief Bacon has recommended Officer Hicks for promotion, and I am pleased to endorse and forward that recommendation to the board for ratification. Officer Hicks joined our department in January of 2017 and contributes to the professionalism of the department by serving in the capacity of field training officer and firearms instructor. He has earned his undergraduate degree from Fitchburg State University and is pursuing his graduate degree. As a commissioned officer with the Massachusetts Army National Guard, presently holding the rank of First Lieutenant, Officer Hicks possesses strong leadership and command experience, which are skills that will serve him well in his duties as a supervisor and leading his fellow officers. Upon ratification, Sergeant Hicks will begin his new duties at the discretion of the Chief of Police. He will earn $29.49 per hour at the Step 5 Sergeant rate in accordance with the current governing agreement. Respectfully submitted, Town Administrator J.R. Green. Chief.
When you mention professionalism, I think of Dylan. Dylan is very squared away, knows what he's doing, someone that I know that I can go to ask questions, and he has the answer. But he's also very committed to our community. Dylan's one of the officers that will step up whenever something is needed, whenever, for instance, Halloween steps up and helps with that. So, like Greg, I am very confident in the abilities of Dylan. I'm confident in the process, and I'm excited to stand before you today and respectfully ask that you ratify Officer Dylan Hicks to the rank of Sergeant.
So with that, what is the board's pleasure?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to ratify the appointment to the position, to the rank of Sergeant of the Adams Police Department, Dylan Hicks.
I have a motion by Member Duval. Do I have a second?
And I'll be happy to second.
Second by Member Novak. Any questions or comments? Anyone?
I just want to say congratulations and thank you for your service to our community.
Once again, I'll echo that, and please stay as dedicated as you are, and do what you can to help our community, and I know you'll do that. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see this appointment before us, but maybe not as excited as your fan club behind you. But happy,
Daddy.
absolutely. I'm happy that your family could be here this evening for this moment. We're very, very happy to have you before us. So if there's no other comment or questions, I'll go ahead and take a vote. All in favor? Aye. That is unanimous. Congratulations, Sergeant Hicks. And as Chief Bacon mentioned, they will go ahead and take their oath. The town clerk is here to do that, and they will do a pinning and lots of pictures.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you, Chief.
You'll take some pictures?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. And again, thank you for those of you on the call who were awaiting a 7:20 p.m. hearing on the public shade tree hearing. We do have, I think, Becky Ferguson from Community Development and Robert Tober from DPW, who might be in the hallway. So as they are entering the room, no? Nobody's in the hallway yet? Okay. I do see that Christine Champeau is here from VHB, but before all of that, or as they are arriving, I do need a motion to go into the public hearing for public shade tree hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
We are currently in the public hearing for the public shade tree hearing. Becky, if you wanted to come to the microphone and walk us through this on behalf of Community Development. And I see that Christine has unmuted herself. So Christine, maybe you want to just introduce yourself so that people know who you're representing and your position as questions might come up and they might be directed to you.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Christine Champeau. I work at VHB. We were the design firm that put together the plans for the Route 8 project. They started construction a little bit. They're getting going. So Mass DOT oversees the construction portion, but any questions or anything like that that they'll have about the design plans would come back to VHB. And we work for the town of Adams. We were hired by them. Yeah.
Okay. And Becky, I will turn things over to you.
Excuse me, there's another lady on there. I'm not sure who she may be.
Becky, do you know MJ? Okay. Oh, okay, so I will turn things to Becky first.
Okay. So yes, we are here to have a public shade tree hearing for this project. I think Massachusetts local law 87 requires that the tree warden of the town organize a shade tree hearing for the removal of trees in public ways. The tree warden for the town is Tim Cotto, who's been out recovering from shoulder surgery. So since that was happening and this project was moving much more quickly than we thought it originally would, the contracts got signed much earlier than we thought. And because community development was largely involved in this project, we went ahead and scheduled this hearing. These plans have been reviewed by town staff and the select board for quite a while. As you know, it's a very big project, and as a result, there are a number of trees that will be removed, approximately 53. A lot of them are not in great shape. Most of them are smaller caliber. There are some that are larger caliber. We are replanting over 30 trees to replace those and installing 14, Christine can talk a little bit more about this if I don't get the numbers right, 14 bioretention basins to help with stormwater runoff. So some of those basins are taking up space, and that's another reason why trees can't be replanted in those locations. So I think that's the process. It's I think the role of the select board to just approve this removal and to hear any comments from the public.
Okay. And in front of the board is the public documents that were posted in accordance with the public hearing notice.
Yes, yes. And you'll see, if you're looking through those, you'll see the trees that are to be removed are marked in red, REM. Trees to be retained are RET, so those are the ones we're protecting. And then on the bottom of each page is the ones that are replanting. So one of the nice things is that there are a lot of crabapple trees along this route that are not so desirable, make a big mess, and so some of those will be taken down and replaced with, hopefully, more desirable trees.
So the copies in front of us are in black and white. So, so that you do have a colored version there if somebody does have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
And the language is still the same. It's remove and retain.
Yep.
So,
I do see the notation, but I just wanted to mention that. In terms of notification for the public hearing, how was that handled?
it was posted 2 weeks consecutively in the paper, as well on our website.
And anybody along the Route 8 corridor, were they notified or?
Well, all the trees that are being removed were marked with red tape. Anybody who had an easement on the property, which we obtained, over 70 easements, anybody on those properties knew of the removals. Many of them actually welcomed the removal of the trees and requested not to have new ones replanted. Those are all the notifications that happened.
Okay. Before I open up to the public, I will open up to the board to ask any questions. Jared, do you have questions?
Yeah, I have
Go
some
ahead.
questions.
Sure.
To me, treescape on roads is part of New England. I think it's nice to drive and to see trees along the roadside. They're also helpful for carbon sequestration. And for the trees that you're going to be taking down, you're taking down, what was it, 53 trees, I believe you said?
Approximately.
And you're going to replace it with 30? And my question is, what type of trees do you plan on replacing with? Because they need to be salt-tolerant type trees, because there gets a lot of salt put on the highway. So has there been any discussion on the types of trees that you might be replacing?
Christine, do you want to take
I
that?
was going to say, do you want me to answer that? Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, so we did have a lot of discussion on tree types based on the aesthetics, the size, and the tolerance to be street trees. We do a lot of projects in Western Mass and understand the need for salt and also the need to protect utility poles. So we did a variety of, there's a few places where we are allowed to put in some maples, some kind of larger trees, and again, they would have been set back a little bit so that they're not under the utility wires. But in general, we use the smaller trees that are typical street trees, like the city sprite. See if I can get another one. And the linden, little leaf linden, that are typical street trees.
Okay, and another quick question is, it's off quite a bit, but just as you're going up Route 8, there's a beautiful elm tree. It's set back a little bit. It's where the old Episcopal Church was, and it's now owned, I believe, by Don Summers. And that is a trophy tree. It's got great symmetric to it. And as you well know, all of the elm trees were decimated with the Dutch elm disease. So I hope there's very careful around that area to protect that tree. The state champion tree in Lanesboro, the elm, is dying back quite a bit. They just had to take a big leader off of it. It was blown down during the wind. Trees only have a certain lifespan to them. And that tree has the potential of being one of the top trees, I believe, in, definitely western Massachusetts. Do you know the one I'm alluding to?
I don't. Do you have an address, or Becky, do you know?
I think I know the one you're alluding to.
Yeah,
It's
right.
on River Street, right?
Yeah,
It's
right
set
there,
on the
yeah.
back, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Actually,
still back quite a bit, but still, I just hope there's a lot of caution taken to it, because, once again, it's a trophy tree. You don't really see them like that anymore.
It's outside of the project layout, and we can
Right.
certainly notify the project manager at DOT, when they get to that section, to
Okay.
take extra care. We did get a phone call from a citizen also concerned about that tree,
Okay.
so that we could protect it, yep.
And it's one of the nice things about having Mass DOT out there as a resident. You have someone to contact if you have anything like that, just to say, hey, look, we have this special tree. When you're around here, work carefully.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. John, any questions, comments?
Were all these trees town-owned trees, or did it vary?
They're all in town layout, so, yeah, I think they're all on
Okay,
the sidewalk side of the town layout, yep.
okay, so there's no trees that were personally owned by the property owner?
No,
Okay.
no.
So there was a time, many, many years ago, that the town had planted many trees throughout the community on town-owned land, and I think, as Joe was kind of alluding to, the aesthetics of coming into a community with trees lining each side, like Summer Street, for example, is it's a great entrance point into your community and throughout your community. And I've seen recently a lot of trees being older trees, and maybe because they needed to come down, but being cut down. Summer Street, for example, there was 3 or 4. And it just opens up everything. Sometimes your trees cover some of the blight as you go through, So, but anyways, it's good that 50 are coming down, but we are going to replace 30. And I was just wondering, the last question is, if it's a town-owned tree we take down, and we were thinking of putting one up, does the homeowner have any, they can have input, but what is the, I don't know if you know this, what is the town's commitment, or what is our goal for trees in our community? Because at the time, it was almost every house that didn't have one received one, I think Zupka went around town and planted all kinds of trees, a florist. But, I hate to see, because someone doesn't want one, that we don't replant it even though it was town-owned. So I'm not sure if you know anything about that, just...
I can't speak to the town's goals about tree planting numbers. In entirety, I think that we had a lot of conversations with people about if a tree was being removed, what they would want back, and so they could choose something to come back. If they had, like maybe a smaller caliber than what was there, or again, people were happy to get rid of the crab apples and maybe something else come back. So we did have some conversations, but I don't think there was an ultimate plan of tree for tree if possible. So certainly an opportunity to rethink plantings in other parts of town on town property.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
And I just have one other thing, but it doesn't have to do with the trees, but sometime I would like, if, I forgot the lady's name.
Christine?
Yes,
Champo?
Christine.
Yep.
Excuse me, I'd like sometime if you could come in, I'm quite interested, or maybe just send some information about those retaining basins that you're going to have. I think you're going to have plantings in them also to help absorb water before they reach catch basins. And yeah, that's something I'd be interested in hearing a little bit more about. I think it's a novel idea, but there's got to be a lot of safeguards also. So
Yeah,
that's,
I mean, I could talk about it for a few minutes if you want here. It is a little hard without any kind of,
no, I don't want to put you on the, I don't want to put you on the spot. That's really not on the agenda, but I'd just be interested in time, Christine, to hear a little bit more about them.
Yeah, so they're 14 feet long, and depending on the size of the glass strip we had, they're either 4 feet wide or they were 7.5 feet wide.
Okay.
So they are a pretty large planting area. There's an area like up front that's like 4 by 4 or 4 by 7.5 feet in the large area that is a combination of stone and plantings, and that will have to be cleaned out every year and new plantings put in because that's where all the sediment and everything will collect. But then there's a piece of curving that separates that area from the remaining 10 feet of planting. So the larger area, which has a lot of stone underneath and stuff, and we can definitely send you details, but that's what will clean the water.
Right.
And that should stay from year to year.
Okay.
And we are coming out at some point to meet with, after they construct a handful of these, to meet with DPW and the town to describe how to maintain them.
Okay, thank you.
I just got one more quick question. I was wondering, as I was driving through there, about, it's not to do with the trees, but the large telephone pole that was put in down by the old stone mill across the street from there, it's different than all the other poles. It's huge, metal. Is that gonna stay there? Is that the plan?
Yeah. Christine can talk a little bit better about that, but yeah, that's the plan. But I think we took down a couple poles and put one bigger pole in.
Okay, all right.
Okay, good.
I'm good.
Okay, I will open it up to the public. Anybody who's on the call that wishes to ask any questions or provide any comment. There are a couple of people on this call that I'm not sure if you're here for this. MJ, are you here to comment? Okay, if you could state your name.
Can you hear me?
We can. If you could state your name for us.
My name is MJ Downing, Adams resident on East Street. And I agree with a lot of the decisions, especially to get rid of that crab apple. They look pretty tortured there, I don't know. Some trees really need pruning from time to time, and these look like they were neglected. Also, there's a matter of drought in this town that really can do a number on the trees. And we've had a problem with that for a while, for 2 or 3 years that I've been here. I'm going to just skip around. I noticed on these plans that, from my count, that 51 you're taking out and 14 you're putting in. Unless, maybe I counted wrong. But what I'm thinking is, how are we thinking in the larger vision? Are we thinking about how this is going to impact the visual presentation of our town through this main thoroughfare? And we really need business here in this town, and we need to have that good visual appeal to attract business. And so, do we want to have trees that are all the same, having a formal atmosphere, or, entranceway, or do we want to have trees that are all different and a variety of them? I think the little leaf linden is a really cute tree. You've got, the lilac. I think that's going to be messy and distracting from the buildings in the town. I think we need something more delicate so that it won't conflict. And I think we might need more flowering trees. We get a nice street tree is purple leaf plum. You got the Cousa dog, which I don't know what you think. I don't know anything about city planting. I know you know far more than me on that. but I'm thinking about just how the people will feel, and will they feel happy to have, because a lot of those houses are close to the street, and so are we going to make their houses, stand out, look, and make them happy, and not have a lot of worries with care. And some of the trunks, like on those crab trees, they were never suited to a street because they really need care. And flowering trees, and a 2.5 to 3 inch caliber sounds like a pretty small tree put in replacing those big ones you're taking out. So I'm wondering, and where are you going? Another question is, where are you getting these trees? Because different suppliers are vastly different quality of product, and I know some good ones in the area. I'm sure you do, but we might, think about that. And also the red maples are kind of iffy. There's some varieties that just, you think they're red, but they just poop out. They don't really, they're like an orangey, greeny, yellowy thing. And because of our particular climate here, you all have, everywhere you got these microclimates. In the mountains, you got this and that. And I spoke to a big tree grower who was convinced that Autumn Blaze was the best, that most consistent performer. If that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for, a red tree. And how many of these do we want? Because they're pretty striking. And also, do we want to have seasonality? Do we want to have something that's appealing from season to season? Are we going to mix them so that spring, shows off Adams, summer shows off Adams, fall, and I don't think we need the berries for winter, but you have them all over the street. But those are a few suggestions, and I thought maybe, if these decisions aren't made in stone, maybe they can be considered a little bit further.
MJ, thank you very much. Christine or Becky, would you like to comment on anything that MJ has shared?
Sure. I think those are a lot of really good points. I think the tree variety was chosen to have variety, both flowering and fall color, so not one kind, and that also protects us if there's a disease or if they're not a healthy variety, that we won't lose all the trees. The calibers are smaller, but I think that gives them a greater chance of survival, and rather than putting in a larger caliber. So it will take some time for those trees to mature and look a little fuller, certainly. But I think that in terms of type and variety, it really was about trees that will survive, look nice, and be able to be cared for by the town.
Yeah, and if I can add, I'll add a little bit on too. When we went to look at the different types of street trees, and I know you mentioned the lilac, and Donna was very, very big on not using a tree that was going to leave a big mess everywhere. She's like, get rid of the crabapple. Yeah. And there is a species of lilac that's supposed to hold its flowers long so that it doesn't make quite the mess. Again, I'm not a landscape architect myself. We have landscape architects at VHB, and they are the ones that recommended this type of tree. They're like, no, this isn't one of the messy ones. It'll have a couple flowers. It's not this huge flowering thing that then everything drops. So it's supposed to be a good balance of leaves and flowers. But yes, that's exactly what we did, is we tried to do a balance. And as far as the larger trees, we planted those mostly just in the riverfront areas. So areas like near the bridges where we're crossing the bridge. And it's kind of a requirement that we use native species. So that's where we came up with the species of maple that we use. There's like Massachusetts has a list of, these are, the native species to this area. So the tree that we selected should be, made to grow in a climate like Adams, the variety of maple. And then the other thing you had mentioned was the suppliers. So as part of this contract, the contractor picks who is going to supply the plants. Like, we can't tell them you have to use a certain supplier. So they get to choose on their own. But as part of our special provisions that we wrote for the contract, we send one of our landscape architects out with them and we tag the trees so that they can go find the healthiest trees that are on site and tag those and say, okay, these are acceptable. And if we go there and there's not enough trees that look healthy, they look half dead, then we can say, no, you have to choose folks now. We do have a little bit of say in picking out the actual trees that will get planted.
Okay, what about the fact that you've taken out 50 and adding 14?
Yeah, so there are 32 new trees that are being planted, so I think you might have, I'm wondering if you can, because there's 14 bioretention planters, so I'm thinking maybe the symbols might have got mixed up.
What I did was I counted those plants you listed at the bottom. You know, you said plant schedule sheet.
Yeah.
And you put quantity. So I added all those little quantities up.
Yeah, there should be 30. So you can take a look at that.
I have twice, and I don't know what 9 pages here of these things.
Right. Yeah, because I double checked it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. It counts once.
Right.
As long as
Nothing now.
you're saying there'll be 30.
Yes, there will be. And there's 3 that were added onto the plans that aren't shown on the ones that are here because there was where there was an oversight in one spot. So there are, I think there's 29 exactly shown on here, but in the end there'll be 32. We're going to add them on to the contract after this meeting. But just remember that there's also 14 of these bioretention swales. So they're not trees, but they're, an area that's 14 feet by 4 feet or 14 feet by 7.5 feet. So it's a good planting area that has maybe 50 plants. And again, it's going to be a mixture of grasses and flowers and stuff like that, so that there'll always be some kind of active plant in the bioretention swales. And they have shrubs as well. So there will be planting there, and that's kind of like if you add that in, then you're really at like 45 or 24.
That's good.
So it's really kind of close to the 53. It's just a little misleading because some of the trees did have to come down to put the planters in.
Okay, and what about the variety? I mean, you got little leaf linden. I saw that. Zelcopus are great. Then you got the red maple. We talked about that. Tree lilac. We talked about that. Somebody loves tree lilac, I think. And so what happens in your mind, for city planting with respect to something like purple leaf plum or red buds or Kuza dogwood? Those are small trees for
right. And again, I'm not the landscape architect, so I don't know about how salt tolerant those trees are. We did already bid this project. This project's already gone to bid, so the items are already in the contract. Switching a tree out might not be a big deal. The contractor might say, okay, yeah, I'll honor the same price. But if they don't want to be nice and generous, but it's maxi, they're usually pretty good. But they can also ask for an extra if we switch.
Well, I'm here because it's, I saw it with the public hearing,
Yeah, no. And again, it's just...
I love trees,
Yeah.
So,
no, that's fine. So I don't know, Becky, if there's any, if the town would want to look into it any further.
Maybe when we get to the point where we're ready to plant those trees, which won't be for a while.
Yeah.
And your landscape architects are going out and selecting varieties. We can also have those varieties under recommendation, and if they see really nice ones and Mass DOT agrees, we can, consider some of those as well if they're on site at the nursery when they're doing the selections.
Well, I've been experimenting with a zillion different trees, because I've got a problem site with a black walnut. If you went in, if any of you know, that will do it, then poison out in the yard. And so in this climate, I have found that redbuds are awesome. And who's a dogwood, you can't kill them. So those are two that you might consider for this particular climate.
Okay. And if you can get a list to Becky, like I said, I can run it by our landscape architect and make sure they're salt-tolerant trees.
Yeah.
And like she said, it really is it's probably 2 years out before, at least, if not the end of this year, it's probably the end of the following.
Wow, okay.
Before they get planted, because it'll be the last thing the contractor does, because they don't want to damage them after they plant them.
Who do I send that to?
So,
Becky, can you give them?
Yep, so Becky Ferguson, MJ, if I put Becky's email address in the chat, would you be able to pull it from there?
It looks like I got a chat here. I've never tried it, but you can, shoot it over and I'll get it. I'll probably
Yep.
get it.
F-E-R, right? Okay.
Guson.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure, thanks for coming.
Yes, thank you very much, MJ. And just make sure that you're able to see that in the chat. It's rferguson@town.adams.ma.us.
Got it.
Okay, but I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you very much.
Look at us
Thank you.
using technology.
I see there's a Michelle Aubin on here, and I don't know if Michelle is looking to talk during the public hearing or if you're on for a different item.
Yeah, I'm on because I was told to come on to put a sign up in my new building on Park Street.
Okay, so, yep, you're under new business. Sorry, Michelle. I will, thank you for letting me know.
Yes.
Is there anyone else on the call or anyone else who wishes to speak as part of the public hearing? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that is unanimous. So we are out of the public hearing. It is my understanding that you do need an approval from the Board of Selectmen to approve the plan. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think we have anything for you to sign, but I think we do need a vote.
Okay. And so the motion would be to approve this request to remove the select trees and replant trees as part of the commercial street rehabilitation as presented. Is that correct? Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Member Duval. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Member Novak. Any further questions or comments?
I would like to have something in writing, though, also, if we could just put something in writing rather than just a voice vote. Is that something that would be possible?
I'm sure we can do a letter or...
Okay,
We can look into that, sure.
if the board wishes that.
You would like a letter from the Board of Selectmen
Yep,
with this vote?
right.
Okay. Okay. I will ask Deb if she can help us
Okay.
craft that. Sure. Anything else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. But don't go too far, because you're on the agenda.
I'll be back. Christine, thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Christine. Okay. So we will head down to new business, item C. And I believe that Jerry Garner is still with us on the phone. So
I'm here.
thank you, Jerry. So you have the next two items on the agenda. The first one up is the notice of a street number change for map 101 parcel 3, known to us as the Lewison House Properties. And it is a street number change from 395 Old Columbia Street to 395 Old Columbia Street, Unit A, and 395 Old Columbia Street, Unit B. Did you want to explain the request and this item that is before us?
All right, so as you know, the Lewiston House is a life support center. It's transitional housing. Within the transitional housing, there are 2 apartments within the building. It came to light that they would need independent addresses for those 2 units that are in there. The other units, are, of course, are not counted as units, but beds. So there's approximately 22 beds in the facility right now, and then the 2 apartments. So Kathy Keezer, who was on here earlier, she dropped out. I was going to have her speak to that, but I guess the higher-ups in her organization are asking her to make those 2 addresses within the building.
Okay. So this does need an approval by the Board of Selectmen. Per the Town of Adams Charter and Code of Laws, Section 13-1. Is that correct? Jerry, do I have that number right?
I believe so.
Okay.
I gave you a letter?
You did give me a letter to sign, yes.
Okay.
That's where I pulled it from. And that section is the numbering of buildings that states that the Board of Selectmen may order numbers to be affixed to or painted on the building on any public or private way in their discretion. The owner of every house shall comply with such order within 10 days thereafter. So this does need a motion and a vote by the Board of Selectmen.
I'll make a motion to make a change of number that comes off of map 101, and it be parcel 3, which would encompass the Lewis House Properties Incorporated, from 395 Old Columbia Street to 395 Old Columbia Street, including Unit A, and 395 Old Columbia Street containing Unit B.
I have a motion by Member Novak. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Member Duval. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No one's opposed. That is unanimous. So we will move on to item D under new business. It's approval of the hanging sign over public way in accordance with Town of Adams zoning bylaws and is required by MGL Chapter 85, Section 8. And Michelle Aubin, I appreciate that you are on the call as well. I'm going to first read the letter that has been, oh, did Michelle just drop off? She did.
Oh.
Okay. She might call back in, and if she does,
give her a moment.
in the meantime, Jerry, I will go ahead and read the letter that you submitted to the Board of Selectmen with regard to this item. Honorable Board of Selectmen, I have reviewed the application submitted by Michelle Carlo of 66 Park Street, who owns and operates a hair salon at this location and would like to change the existing signage. Ms. Carlo is requesting permission to have a projecting sign that will hang over the public way. The projecting sign is 2 feet tall by 3 feet wide, which will be supported to the building by a metal bracket. The bottom of the sign will be 8 feet from grade. The face of the building is almost directly in line with the property line, and the sign will project over the sidewalk approximately 3.5 to 4 feet maximum, depending on the exact attaching point to the building. The sign will not be internally illuminated. The Town of Adams zoning bylaws, 125, Section 15C2, limits a sign of this type to protrude not more than 3 feet over the public way. I do not see a hazard to the public if the sign projects more than this, as long as I can verify the connection points at the time of inspection. The Town of Adams zoning bylaws, 125, Section 15C3, requires in part that no signs or flags shall be placed within or projecting over a public way or on public property unless authorized by the Board of Selectmen as required by Mass General Law, Chapter 85, Section 8. I do not see a hazard to the public for this type of sign at this location. I respectfully request that this application be approved for the 2 requests stated above. Thank you for your attention regarding this matter. Respectfully submitted, Building Commissioner, Local Inspector, Jerry Garner. So, Jerry, I don't think Michelle's come back on, so I think this is you now.
Okay, so So the only requirement that's here is that we need to seek approval for the sign to hang over a public way because it's a projecting sign from the building. Currently, she has a sign. Well, it's not even her sign. She bought the business. Currently, there's a sign that's up against the wall. That's normally what we have, but she doesn't feel that she's going to get the view with that flat sign. So she'd like to have a projecting sign. And of course, I know that you've never done this before, but this is something that is required is your approval, and then every other aspect of this goes to either myself or the zoning board, depending on what she does with the sign. But we do need approval for hanging it over the public way.
Right, so the matter before the Board of Selectmen is the approval of hanging the sign over a public way. Anything with regard to the safety of the sign and how the sign is affixed would then be handled by your office, and anything more the zoning board, correct?
Right.
Those were all the questions that I did ask Jerry on Monday when he asked to put this on the agenda, as he had to walk me through these items. So I will yield time to the rest of the board to ask questions, as I think I've exhausted Jerry with all of mine on Monday.
So Jerry, this is John. How many signs do we have currently today on Park Street that are out over a public way? I know most of the businesses have signs right up against their businesses, and you do have the old movie theater area, but is this something that's relatively new to the downtown, or are there several signs existing already like this?
Actually, the Red Carpet, one of the more popular places around, the Red Carpet restaurant has a projecting sign over the public way. Down the street, there used to be a gift shop down there. That one's actually been removed, but there was one projecting out over the gift shop. There is going to be another application coming in, but it doesn't need your approval on Park Street because it's going to be projecting over the 4-foot area of sidewalk, but it's owned by the property owner, not over the public way. So that one can go in without any approval because it's over the private property of the building owner. This also goes into other things. It goes into marquees, other items such as that. So this is a public safety issue, and if the board deems it either not, I don't know how to put it, it doesn't look good where it's going, or if it's deemed a hazard, then you have the right to say no. This sign in particular is 8 feet from grade, so I don't see a hazard. The minimum is 7 feet. I think 7 feet's too low, but that's besides the point. But I think this particular sign is so small that I don't think it's going to be a hazard whatsoever.
And the last question is, have you seen the sign? Who determines the aesthetics of the sign? It's a nice sign. It's not just a piece of plywood hanging out. Is that the zoning board, or is that yourself, or?
Well, I got a rendition of the sign that she wants to put up there. She has Atlantis doing the bracketry. It's a pretty basic sign. I mean, it's not. I'm not an aesthetic engineer, but it's not what I would say ugly. But it looks pretty decent. But I'm going to research that a little bit more with her after we get this approval.
Okay, because I think if I would think as businesses continue to be added to Park Street, that this may become more and more a popular way, a popular sign so the drivers can see as they drive by. So we might want to, have some kind of a base sign, the way it looks to, New England type style. I'm not, sure about that, but all kinds of different signs out into the street. I would like to have them, at least look halfway decent, so that's my only concern. But I have no problem with the request.
Yeah, I have no problem with the request myself, but I think that once you start making an exception to one rule, you have to be careful when the next person comes in case they want to encroach out even farther. So there should be at least a distance standard that is deemed safe, and we already have the height restriction, which was 8 feet, I believe. But the distance that it protrudes out, this will be different than most signs going out a little further. So it's just that, once again, you have to be careful because the next person may come and want to put it out another, foot or so. So just something to think about, but I have no problem with it.
Yeah, currently it's 3 feet away from the building. If you use the minimum sign, it's going to be 6 square feet. You're not going to achieve 3 feet from the building. It's always going to be a little more than that. So I think, I don't know what the mindset was when the zoning was created for that. It might have been more of a smaller sign that's hanging like a flag sign or something, 2 feet wide, 3 feet long, 3 feet down rather from the bracket. But I can tell you that what she has there, I have no problem with whatsoever.
No, I have no problem either. I think a person should be proud of their business and to make a sign that they feel comfortable with, that they think will attract people to their business.
Okay. What is the board's pleasure with regard to this request? And again, you are looking for approval of a hanging sign over public way in accordance with the Town of Adams zoning bylaws, 125. It should be section 15C3, and is required by Mass General Law, Chapter 85, Section 8. Correct, Jerry?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll make that motion. You read the motion pretty much exactly as...
I would just ask that you add the location.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the hanging sign over a public way in accordance with Town of Adams zoning bylaws 125, section 15, as required by MGL 85, section 8. The location is 66 Park Street.
Okay. I have a motion by member Duval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by member Novak. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And that is unanimous. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. You're more than welcome to stay on, as we're going to hear an update on town construction projects, but we also won't be insulted if you hang up.
I'm gonna hang up before my dog does something.
Okay. Thanks, Jerry.
All right, thank you.
Yep. So I will invite Becky Ferguson and Robert Tober back in the room. Thank you.
They're coming, Jay.
They're coming. Okay, thank you. So, at the last couple of meetings, there's been a couple of questions from some of the members of the board inquiring about the status of some of the construction projects in town, and we thought it was probably a good time to go through that with not only the board, but for the public, as we know that we have quite a few projects going on. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that. So, Becky, if you want to take the lead, and I know Robert's here to answer some additional questions.
Sure. Do you just want me to go through the list, or do you have specific questions first?
Go through the list, please.
Go through the list. So I'll start with maybe the one that looks the messiest these days, which is Grant Street. So far in the Grant Street project, it is on time and on budget. There have been some savings and some overages, and it's really balanced out so far. They've laid 350 feet of line of drainage so far. They've completed the Valley Street section for the most part with the structures and the drainage, and they have laid the drainage also on Lincoln Street, and I think they're about to connect with Grant Street. So that project has been running. It's a difficult project. The lines underneath the roadway are not mapped, so there's been a lot of surprises and research that had to go into it ahead of time. It was a little bit delayed because of all the borings that they needed to do to get it on track in the beginning, but it seems to be going well, and the contractor's been really good. So that project looks messy, but it's been running pretty smoothly. The next I can talk about is Russell Field, which is almost complete. Right now we're waiting on the delivery of some adult fitness equipment and some swing sets. As soon as they're supposed to arrive within the week or weeks, I don't know if they've been delayed a little bit because of the weather, but once those are installed, the last remaining thing will be to run wires in the conduit for the lights, for the field lights, and that'll happen probably after Thanksgiving, and get those lights working again. So they'll come back in the spring to reseed or fix the turf at all that needs to be fixed. They'll also paint the tennis courts in the spring. So that project is also running smoothly, and we haven't run into any significant problems. We've been pleased that we've been able to, we didn't think that we would get the lights as part of it, so we were really happy to be able to add that piece to it. Town Common. Town Common, we're doing our final punch list walkthrough tomorrow morning. The one delay there is the gazebo, which is not set to be delivered until the middle of December. That's been a hold on the manufacturer's end, but everything else is complete. We did have to change the original location of the gazebo and switch it out with a tree that was being installed, just because the undersurface in the park was not, we didn't feel like it was stable enough for the gazebo to be put on that section. But it's looking good. I think we'll come back in the spring and make sure that, again, the turf and the plants have taken, and do any punch list items, but that's pretty much complete. What else do we have? Route 8, as you know, is trucking along. It's really Mass DOT's hands at this point. It's been really nice to have the on-site project manager from Mass DOT when we get calls from the community or from us about what's happening, and they've been really responsive, so that's been really nice. And I think that they will continue going as long as the weather holds. At some point they'll probably shut down for the winter and start again full force in the spring. And I think we can anticipate next spring and summer being busy work along that route. And Davis Street, we just got back plans from Hill Engineering today for the Davis Street structure. It was, I think, difficult to determine what would be put in there and what kind of wing walls would hold and keep it a culvert and not make a bridge. But they did send us back plans today, which we will review, and the next step will be go to Conservation Commission with that and start the permitting. So that took a little while, but it's moving forward. And I think that's my list, unless I missed anything, or if you have questions.
The only other thing I'd add, Becky, just because we were talking about Davis Street, that's part of our flood mitigation work that we're doing. The other part to that just kind of hit the radar again is Jordan Street. So Jordan Street, we have a significant grant. I want to say it's over $1 million pending. That has remained pending with FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency. Well, as we knew, that culvert was eventually going to collapse. It did. The DPW and the police department responded appropriately. They've taken some traffic mitigation measures. They've stabilized the site. We've communicated with MEMA in order to request FEMA to see if they can move a little faster through that. We're in the final stages of that approval process. However, once that grant is awarded to the town, we still have to go through engineering and design on it. So we're just waiting for that money so we can move forward. And that was we had those two pieces today, as Becky said, with Davis and Jordan Street this week. So that work, just to the public out there, just know, even if you don't hear from us, it doesn't mean we're not working on the project, but the wheels of these projects sure do move Sluggish.
Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, I just
Go ahead,
have one question and one comment. The outflow of the pipes that are being replaced down along Valley Street, where does the outflow finally go when they reach Columbia Street?
That's a good question. I think they go to the river. We should confirm that, but I think they go under Columbia, and I think there's an outflow into the river there. We can certainly confirm.
Yep.
Yep.
And another comment, I like how the town common is looking, but it looks kind of devoid in the middle to me. It just seems like it's too open in the middle. I know you wanted to have space so that, you know, you can have gatherings there, but it just seems like during the hot weather there's not much shade, only on the outskirts. And I don't know, I would suggest that we maybe plant a tree and call it the Susan B. Anthony tree or something, you know, because it really seems devoid there to me. You know, it's just way too open.
It's certainly the town's purview to do that. I would say let's wait until the gazebo comes in.
Right,
That'll
yeah.
fill it in a little bit. And in the spring, when the grass is in and the trees are leafed out, it may feel a little bit different. And it may be nice to have a sunny spot for people to sit too. So,
Yeah.
but it's certainly within the town's, you know, purview to plant a tree there someday if they want to, if they feel like it needs more shade.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Starting with Russell Field, I know we were going to run the conduit up to the poles, existing light poles. What about the lights? We were able to find a way to purchase the lights to finish that off?
What we're going to do is we selected conduit that is appropriate for the existing lights and will also be appropriate for future LED lights. And so we're going to replace any fixtures that are broken now and get them working. And then down the road, when we're ready to purchase LED, we can go and replace what we want to replace.
Okay, that's good to hear. Thank you.
We don't have the money for that, though.
No.
Well, that's the question. So as of right now, when this project is finished, there is no lighting at that field. We run the conduit, which is a good thing to do when we do this work, but there's no light. So somehow, some way, we need to.
No, there are lights. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That's okay.
Finish?
No problem.
No, the lights will work when we're done with this project.
The
But they
existing-
won't, the existing ones will, but
Right.
they won't be new fixtures.
Okay, so
They'll
the
be-
existing lights we will put back on, they'll work.
They'll work.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
All
We'll
right.
have lights.
Okay. In regards to the playground, is the existing playground going to be moved and we have new swing sets coming in, or what's the playground way in the back by the tennis courts?
The existing playground by the tennis courts is remaining where it is. We have new swing sets coming in, and we have new adult fitness coming in. So more of exercise equipment for adults, but not a new playground.
So that existing playground doesn't need to move in regards to the lot lines, things like that, or?
It may, down the road.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
That's a good question. That's what I was going to ask, because I know there's a little problem with land ownership.
Yes.
And
It is an open legal matter being researched by town council, and we're not there at a solution yet.
okay,
That's the one little glitch.
yep.
Okay, yeah, the field looks great. Good job on that. Next to the town common, I think many people don't realize that, you know, they're wondering about the Christmas tree, and I think it was a pretty innovative idea to grow our own tree there, because we got to a point, year after year, requesting someone in the community to provide, you know, to donate a tree, and we were getting concerned we couldn't get one. But now we have a tree that we planted there, and it's, you know, at this time, it's, you know, small, but it will grow.
It will grow.
So I think a lot of people in the community don't realize that it's there, and that's what we're going to be using going forward, which to me is a great idea to do it now, and then eventually it's going to be great for our for the celebrations we have starting next year. Get back to doing those again. So that, again, that's another good idea for that area. And the flood areas, Valley Street, Grant Street, it's just great to know that the community is fixing the problems that people have brought forward. After the microburst we had We had several issues, Lime Street, but there's other areas in town that people came forward to us, to our meetings, and indicated they had flooding issues. And it's great to see our community is putting forth an effort to fix these problems. I just think over many years, things, because there was no money, no money, we couldn't do it, but the leadership as of today is we're taking care of these problems for the taxpayers and for the community, which is going to help us in the future, because these things will happen again. These microbursts will happen again, and we'll be prepared next time it happens. So other than that, and the last thing is Corrado Street. I know it came out looking great. It's a great upgrade to that community in that area. So is there going to be a sign off of that project, or has it been a sign off yet?
I believe it has been.
There's one punch list item I think we still want them to take care of, smoothing out a dip somewhere. So it hasn't been signed off on yet. It has been closed, but it's very close to being closed.
We also lost some of our brand new signs in the microburst we just had last month. The signs went up, a week or two later, winds came in and take them down. So that's an insurance issue. But other than that, there was a question as to the pavement quality, which was resolved.
Was resolved?
Yes,
Okay,
the pavement was accepted.
It was accepted?
Yes.
And we're okay there, but,
Yep.
okay. All right, great things happening, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? All right. Thank you. Appreciate you both being here to answer the questions.
Good night.
Just,
Good night.
a quick comment on behalf of Becky and Donna. I really don't think a community of our size, and particularly with the staff that we have, they've managed a really big boatload this year, and with any project, there's undiscovered problems and issues. So I'd like to thank Becky and Donna and Robert for their efforts at just jumping in and being able to get us through all of these projects, because they all kind of bunched up all at the same time, and it's a lot. We try to be good stewards with the public money and make sure that we get a good project out of it, and it does require town staff to monitor the contractors, work with the engineers, work with the designers. So it's a lot of work. So thank you, Becky and Donna, for all their efforts with it, and Robert.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So that concludes new business. We are under department reports, and I will turn things over to the town administrator.
Thank you. Just, I'm going to take my time this evening and just, again, put on the health department hat. There's been a lot of recent news articles about the presence of COVID-19 in the community. It's increasing numbers, not just nationwide, but also within the Commonwealth and then within our own region. As of tonight, we have approximately 4 open COVID cases in town. That is not necessarily a high number. Other communities have about the same. But when you do look at the aggregate numbers and when you look at the positivity rate, the numbers are on an upward climb. With that being said, I've been in conversation with our code enforcement officer and chairman of our Board of Health, Dr. Rhodes. We're all monitoring that data as it comes in from the Department of Public Health. And we're doing our best, particularly at this time of year, in order to balance the needs of our businesses to remain open, but at the same time keep an eye on what is best for public health. What can you do? As I've said before, and I just think it's important to repeat it, please wear your mask, socially distance as much as you can, and wash your hands and practice good hygiene. I think it's important with the Thanksgiving holiday. I know myself, my own family, friends and colleagues, we've really had to think deep down inside about what to do with Thanksgiving. But at the end of the day, common sense and reasonableness must prevail. Please take care of yourself and take care of your colleagues and your friends and your family. But we are monitoring the data as carefully as we can, and we'll make recommendations to the Board of Health, and the Board of Health will take actions as needed as our own individual health data. The Emergency Operations Center in North Adams is still operating. We're in touch with them, and we're in touch with our regional partners as we were back in the spring. I think we're far better prepared right now than we were in March or April. We do have good PPE supplies for our staff, for our first responders, and our communication channels are pretty strong. So with that, just keep our fingers crossed for a vaccine and for good continued testing and development there with the vaccine. That's really all I have for this evening.
Any questions for the town administrator?
Yeah, I have a question or two. I was wondering, on Depot Street, building was demolished. Did that have anything to do with the town?
It was ordered to be demolished, but we did not pay for it. It was paid for by the property owner, bank.
Okay, so it was paid by the property owner?
Oh, yes.
Because it was there, and then the next day it was gone?
Yeah, Jerry was on top of that, and that came down because of
Okay, so it
Jerry.
didn't come out of any of our money? That's good, okay. Another thing, too, is I'm missing seeing the reports that Kim Whittick, our animal control officer, was passing out to us. I thought they were very interesting, and I haven't seen any now in a couple of months, I believe, and I thought that they were, they don't have to be fancy, but it just told me what Kim was doing as far as an animal control officer in checking the meters. It was insightful, I thought, and I'd like a continuation of that.
Sure, we'll pass that request on to the police chief.
And I'd like to thank you, and I hope it continues, for sending out, I received it, I believe, Friday, was just a short update of what was going on in the community. And that was something I've been asking for a while, because if you don't send it to us, I hear a word of mouth, and sometimes coming from word of mouth, it isn't exactly the way it is going on.
Right.
So I hope you continue that, and each week, it doesn't have to be anything long, it's just, for me, it's insightful. And one other thing I was wondering, when L.L. Bean came into Adams, how did they choose Adams? Who got them here? Did anybody petition them to come, or did they just choose coming to Adams because they felt it was, upcoming with tourism, or how did they choose Adams?
It was an absolute cold call. Barrage emailed a variety of town officials. I responded to it, town clerk, Deb, all forwarded it to me, and I immediately responded to it. They were immediately responsive. They told us, they gave us a link. It's look, this is what we want to do, etc. We quickly kind of had an idea where we wanted to go. I assembled a few of the department heads. We sat down. Erica and Chief Bacon in particular were quickly responsive. We got Robert involved in it. Then once we had a rough idea that it could possibly work, we got Mark involved because of course it's in the middle of a health pandemic.
Yep.
We got Mark involved. I think we turned around that project within probably 3 or 4 hours. They took, that was on a Thursday afternoon, I believe, and then on Monday they approved Adams. So whether or not they reached out to other communities, we don't know, but we saw the opportunity, it made sense, and we took advantage of it.
Yep.
And the feedback from the retail staff, I was there on Saturday, the feedback from the retail staff was very positive. They loved the community. They had a lot of interactions. The Berkshire Eagle covered it. iBerkshires covered it. It was really a nice event. And the residents I spoke to, they were excited to see L.L. Bean come to town. And the staff thought it was a really good fit, with our outdoor recreation motif, etc. Greylock right in the background there.
Right.
And everyone saw the bootmobile sitting there in the parking lot. So it was a good use of the space. And L.L. Bean donated $2,500 to the town for coming in.
Anything else, Joe?
No?
John?
No, I made an investment into L.L. Bean, same Saturday, so it was just something different, and to get out and to walk around, and it was just a nice thing to have, so thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to town council report.
I contacted the land court and spoke with Marlene Ayash regarding the status of the MJD tax case. It remains in essentially the same posture it did a year ago and awaits further court action. Mr. Dupy appealed the clerk magistrate's findings to the judge of the district court. That's regarding the dangerous dog hearing that we had several months ago. A hearing was scheduled for this coming Monday, November 23rd, but I learned this afternoon that upon Mr. Dupy's request, the court continued the hearing until December 21st at 11 a.m. I am summoning witnesses and working with the chief to prepare for this hearing. I conducted a mediation with staff and private citizens concerning state sanitary code enforcement issues, and I attended today's Board of Health meeting.
Any questions for town council?
Yes, just
Hi, Joe.
quickly, your last topic, Board of Health, what was discussed?
The primary focus of today's hearing dealt with the SMI's plans. I'm a layman, so I'm not going to get into all the engineering that was discussed, but SMI is laying out its plans for restoring the quarry. It presented I thought, a very lengthy and thorough explanation, kind of like on a PowerPoint type of presentation, but using Zoom, sharing screen, the attributes of that, and showed how they were doing it. They talked about the permitting process that they have to go through with DEP. They have to, the permitting is mind-boggling, but the SMI has to come back to the Board of Health to seek its approval of its plans as well. They expect to be coming back, given the time frame involved with DEP, coming back in probably April of 2021, requesting the Board of Health approval with respect to the aspect of the plans that they have to.
Okay.
That was the primary focus of it.
Yep, okay, that's all I have.
Just one question in regards to that is that the state, the DEP and the Board of Health are the authority to approve all permits and to gain approvals for what they're doing there. The Board of Selectmen has no authority in the work that they do at that site in regards to storage of whatever, I'm not going to get any details, but chemicals, whatever it may be, but the Board of Selectmen doesn't have any authority there.
I don't believe this Board of Selectmen has jurisdiction over what they were talking about. They're talking about the quarry.
Right.
There may be other issues that impact, like the Zoning Board of Appeals, for example, might be impacted by, from what I saw, the way the map was laid out, the zoning map, you're talking about open space area, which is, in the area adjacent to where the quarry is, and industrial zoned areas as well. There's a talk about some pipe that's going to be laid to, I don't know exactly what I'm talking about here, but, laid in order to allow, water to drain from the site safely and not impact the groundwater in a negative fashion. That's my layman's terms of, what I understood from what they were doing. So it may impact the Board of Selectmen. I didn't see how it was today. I saw this primarily almost entirely DEP generated, but the Board of Health has a say with respect to some of the things going on.
Okay, thank you.
And just a comment, I believe too, because it's an extractive industry, that the federal government will have to okay the plan too. I'm not sure of that, but I think the federal government may have to also, because any extractive industry is under the jurisdiction of the federal government.
Yeah, there's a federal agency that deals with mining, and my understanding, they didn't mention it today, but my understanding from a past situation I had was that they do come in and get involved. What I heard about today exclusively dealt with DEP and the filling of the quarry and how that was going to take place, what materials they were going to use, where they were going to get the materials from, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
I will just mention that the Board of Health does conduct their meetings via Zoom, and they did record today's meeting. It will be posted on YouTube. The Town of Adams does have a YouTube account, so you could look for that. But you could also go to the Board of Health's page on the town's website, and there will be a link directly to all of their meetings that have been recorded. So that'll be posted probably in the morning to that channel. Same with Board of Selectmen meetings. all of the town meetings are being recorded.
Have any of our meetings gone viral? Or?
We're trying not to have them go viral. But you could look and see how many views. That's always interesting to me. All right. It is getting a little late, we're getting a little punchy. So we will move on to subcommittee and liaison reports. As mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, the licensing committee had good intentions of meeting last week to provide a report and possibly a recommendation to the full board that was unable to be scheduled. The licensing committee is currently scheduled to meet on November 30th in advance of the December 2nd annual license renewal meeting that we have scheduled for the full board. So I will try to see if Member Blanchard is available to meet next week to review the licensing information that is before you and see if we can get a recommendation before then. But what you have in front of you, Deb was able to help us. What you see there listed as the establishments are all of the on-premise establishments. So that's our Section 12 license holders. So on-premise versus off-premise. The off-premise would be our package stores. They are not on this list because the recommendation initially from the licensing committee was just for the Section 12. So you will see in that first column those who have an all-alcohol license, what the full fee is. It's $1,150. As we pointed out, that is a fee that we have not raised in, I think, 12 years. So it has remained the same, but you'll see that there. This board did approve a 25% savings across the board, so you'll see that in that second column. That third column is for those who just have a wine and malt license, so there is a difference in the fee, and that fee is $850. And we have 4 businesses who operate with just a wine and malt license, and then the 25% discount is in that fourth column for those with wine and malt. So I wanted to make sure that you had that in front of you, and again, I will do my best to schedule a meeting with Member Blanchard before our November 30th already scheduled licensing committee meeting. That's all I have on licensing.
I just have one question. When I look at these in red, I see the Adams Turners, the Mountain Club, the Elks, and the American Legion. Why is Wojo's on that list? They're not a club, are they?
They are not. I'm sorry, Member Novak, you had asked about the businesses that had remained closed. Those are the 5 businesses that are still closed.
Okay.
The others have all opened over the last several months. I have heard from code enforcement that the Mountain Club has put forward a plan to open with food provided. So that would leave us with 4 that have not opened.
Okay,
Yeah, I apologize. I meant to.
No, that's okay. I just didn't know why they would be in the fold with the clubs.
They all have a Section 12 license.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Okay. John, anything for committees?
Subcommittees, no. Really, last 2 weeks haven't had any meetings. The Berkshire Regional Planning Commission, full commission, and meeting is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And I think there's a Metropolitan Planning Committee meeting coming up, but then I think that's next Tuesday. Over the last 2 weeks, we haven't had anything, but I'll report on these the next meeting.
Okay. Joe?
Yes, I attended 2 meetings virtually. On Monday night, the executive board of the Mohawk Trail Woodlands Partnership met to discuss choosing an administrative agent to usher us along with our partnership, and we voted on selecting New England Forestry Foundation to be our administrative agent, and then we brought that in front of the full board the following day. It was voted upon, and it was 1 vote against, but all the rest voted for it. And just a little bit about the New England Forestry Foundation. I'd like to read just quickly what their mission is. I think that gives a quick overview of what they're all about and how they'll be helping us out. They were started prior to 1944, and it was done because there's a lot of harvesting of timber at the time, and they believed that they could help out with allowing timber to be harvested, but in a way that it would be able to be done circularly, whereby trees will be cut at certain times so that you always have your trees on deck. And so through that, their mission statement is, through the application of our core expertise in conserving forest land and advancing exploratory forestry, New England Forestry Foundation helps the people of New England to sustain their way of life, protect forest wildlife habitat and ecosystem services, and mitigate and adapt to climate change. This group is well respected throughout all of New England. They are landowners. Most of the land that they own is forested. They also own some farmland. And what's been exciting, in my opinion, about this group is that a lot of people have been jumping on board because it's a new approach to the way people look at. And once again, I'd like to make this clear to everyone. It's not a land grab. It's not going to be people buying land to have it protected, because as we all know, here in Berkshire County, there's a lot of land already in protection by state land and other means of protection. This is going to be to help the private landowners to utilize their forests and their resources where they're sustainable. And in short, I'd just like to say the federal government has really come on board with us. During our meeting, we had representatives of the Forest Service very interested in what we're doing. They've become partners with us. So I think in time that, we've had some results already with grants from the state, and federal government wants to jump in. So we're going to see what happens. Things will change with a new administration coming in. It may be more advantageous. We don't know that for sure, but that's what the thinking is. And that's basically all that I have. And that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate that. Camera is still directed at you, and Peter is not here, so I'm going to go with announcements and go the order.
Okay, I'd just like to reiterate what Jay had said about this COVID. It's at a real serious stage right now, and I'm very disappointed, and I don't like to bring a local meeting, make it into something nationwide, but I'm very disgusted with what is going on in this country about not allowing the president-elect to be able to get information which will be helpful to the people of this country. It's just selfishness. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't happen, and people are dying. We've just went over 250,000 people have lost their life. Mm-hmm. And we're not getting any cooperation, and I just don't like it. It's just the selfishness that I can't tolerate. And as Jay mentioned, it's really important now that we keep our guard up. And I mentioned this to Jay. I really want our town employees to start masking up. You said that you talked to them about them. I know it's difficult. It's a cavalier approach. A lot of them don't want to do it, but it could become a super spreader if somebody, one of our employees that are working with one another gets COVID and they're asymptomatic and they pass it on, and it can go right through the shop, in other words, and not just, every town employee. So that's just something I want to bring to your attention, and you take it from there. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Joe. John?
Just one thing, I driving through town, I noticed on Harding Ave, a brand new house has gone up relatively quickly there. Drove up on Upper East Orchard Terrace, where there were lots that were for sale for a long time. They're starting to be sold finally. But as I went up to the top, to your left, all that land was just cleared for additional lots to be sold for housing, which you can see now over to Airport Road. But it's just great to see that in our houses, we talked with Donna, our assessor, a few weeks ago, that the houses are going within a day or two as soon as they're put up for sale, and the lots are starting to sell in some of these areas with development. So it's just, and I know it's happening elsewhere also, but it's just great to see that people are choosing Adams as a place to purchase a home and to also build a home, so.
Kingsmont Lane, too, had a couple of lots.
Do they?
So,
Did they? Great, so yeah, good things are happening. That's it, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Along the lines of discussions about COVID, I wanted to thank the code enforcement officer, town administrator, and Chair David Rhodes of the Board of Health, who met with a number of our restaurants yesterday via Zoom to just reiterate some different protocols and guidelines that have been put forward by the Berkshire County Boards of Health. I believe there were 10 businesses that joined that call. They were able to ask all the questions that they had about protocol, but also to dispel any rumors that might be out there. It's an industry that definitely has been targeted, given some outbreaks in other communities, but I have to say that our community has been pretty vigilant, and I hope that that continues. But I do thank all of them for their time in putting that together. And I know that town administrator mentioned it, this is our last meeting before the Thanksgiving holiday, so I do want to just wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, but hopefully it is done safely, and that you keep health in mind as you have your Thanksgiving celebration, and maybe do so virtually if you can. I know that that's how the Hoyt household will be conducting Thanksgiving, so I encourage you to think about it if you can. And the other thing, there is information on the town's website about the Community Development Block Grant Micro Enterprise grants that are available for Northern Berkshire communities. So I know that the eligibility requirements and the paperwork is a bit cumbersome. It's a little disappointing that the state has made it as difficult as they have to apply for those grants, but I do encourage businesses to apply if you can, if you are eligible to do so. Those are some generous grants that are put forward. But you can find that information on the Community Developments page on the town's website. The last item I have here, I am looking to schedule a workshop with the board, probably on Tuesday evening of next week. So I'll follow up, or have Deb follow up to just confirm availability. As we've been talking about the different, we've been talking about the spike in numbers. It might need to change some protocols and the way that we meet, and the way that we might have to do business with a couple of different personnel searches. So I'd like to be having that conversation with the Board of Selectmen to talk about how we move forward during these uncertain times. So look for information about meeting next week.
Excuse me, I just thought of something that you had mentioned about, money for businesses, it's cumbersome. Whatever happened to Berkshire Regional Planning when we, we asked for money and, we went through all the hoopla?
That is the grant that I just mentioned.
Okay, so what's happened with that? It just seems like it just continues to linger.
So that just became available 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
About 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, the state released all of that information. It is going through Berkshire Regional Planning Commission. as was indicated, it just took a lot of time, and the state put on quite a bit of restrictions.
Okay, so that's what you were alluding to.
That's the community
because
development block
I've had
grant.
a lot of people asking me, you
Yep.
know, we put in, but we really haven't heard anything. I mean, Donna's gotten back to them, but
Yes.
nothing concrete that it's still going and going.
So what they put in was a preliminary application for their eligibility kind of guidelines. Back, I want to say, we had the public hearing in July.
Right.
Or June, I think it was June.
Yeah.
And then it has taken quite a bit of time. It was just released as part of the state's economic development kind of grant program that they put out there as one of the items. So this has been live for, I would say, I think it's been 2 weeks. But the information is on our website, and the full application process is listed there.
Okay, because it was my understanding that the money had been released already, but apparently it has not been.
It had not been. Yep, but now it has been. So thank you for asking the clarifying question. Well, if there's nothing else to come before the board, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.